For this video, I went to San Blas Islands. It was a 2 to 4 hour drive plus boat ride to get to the islands, and started at 5 a.m. The last bit of the trek to the boat launch, you go through a lot of forest. Really beautiful. Check this out. The San Blas Islands and then the mountainous territories that are surrounding the boat launch that you have to go through to get to the islands, that is basically sovereign Kuna territory. So to get in and out, you have to go through a security checkpoint, which is manned by, I think, Panamanian law enforcement. At this point, we've arrived to the boat launch after passing through security. As you can see, the water is amazingly clear, and we've reached our first stop. Awesome. Gracias. I get more than I could ask for, actually. So the first stop of this San Blas Island tour is pretty sick. It's first of 4. It's super small. There's, some bathrooms, a little shop area to buy like indigenous art and stuff. And you can walk from one side of the island to the other end probably in about 2 minutes. So it's definitely pretty small. Here we go. This is on top. Beautiful. Literally, it's the end of the island. Alright, I don't know if you can hear me, but this water is pretty much shallow, like up to your hips. You go pretty far out. You see that? Here are the bathrooms on the first island we stopped at. The local Kuna people have their artwork for sale, so you can see what you're looking at is essentially called mola. And I picked some up. It's basically embroidered cloth, a very cool pattern. From what? Oh, I have no idea. They might just be tour trips too. Like people like pay. There's dead options. You can pay like, this was like what, $160? I think. One of the stops involved stopping in the middle of the sea and checking out this natural pool. So you just got out of the boat and went for a swim. It was like just a few feet deep. So that is not a Nazi flag. That's a Kuna Nation flag. Another interesting thing is in Kuna Nation, there are a lot of these flags that basically look like swastikas. Those are not swastikas. The little thing that looks like a swastika is meant to look like 4 arms that are kind of flexed. So if you think about it, 4 arms that are flexed, and they point in each cardinal direction, so north, west, east, south, and it's basically meant to show like the Kunas are kind of ready to defend against any enemies from any direction, which is actually pretty badass if you ask me. So not a Nazi flag, that's the origin. Time to head to the next island. That's all I got of the San Blas Island. Stick around for another minute or couple minutes to learn about the Kuna people. I got to learn a lot about the Kuna tribe from the driver. His name is Toti, but TLDR, things to know about that he taught me about the Kuna tribe. First off, the Kuna used to live on the mainland in Panama, but during the Spanish Inquisition of Panama, they were basically kind of driven off the mainland. They were driven off for a couple reasons. One, persecution from the colonists. Second, they were being killed in mass by malaria. Many Kuna ended up moving over to the San Blas Islands for practicality's sake. Most notably, on the San Blas Islands, there aren't really any mosquitoes, so it kind of insulated them historically from malaria. there's a huge push for preservation of Kuna culture. So for example, the driver Toti, he mentioned his wife is Kuna, and he specifically mentioned like it's really important for them to mantenga la raza, which basically means maintain the race. In terms of how a lot of them make a living, so from what I understand, like this is based on what the tour guide told me with my broken ass Spanish. Kuna today primarily they kind of survive on the economies of like seafood and like produce. So for example, they'll go hunt for seafood and then sell it, you know, to the markets, or they'll come to the mainland to harvest crops, and those crops obviously get sold back to the mainland. So there are definitely ways in which they survive. I couldn't tell you much else about the Kuna, but very interesting people, very unique. And honestly, if you have to pick one thing to do when visiting Panama City, absolutely do visit the San Blas Islands.